All right, hello and welcome back to the most must-see pro football podcast on the internet. Welcome to Third and Long. I'm your host, Mason Rooney, and as per usual, I'm joined by my co-host Cody Starren. Say hello, Cody.
Heyo.
All right, before we get started, be sure to follow us right here on our socials. I believe, yep, right down there is our podcast socials. Up here is our personal socials. Be sure to like and follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube and anywhere you can get your podcast from. All right, this episode is going to be a first in a four-part mini series of us recapping the NFL draft. We're going to be starting with the NFC. Should be coming out within the week of all the NFC draft recaps. Next week will be AFC. So we're going to be starting with the West first because West is the best. And yeah, let's start off with the Arizona Cardinals, who were supposed to be the first NFC West team to pick, but after trading back from pick 3 to pick 12 and getting a hell of a lot of draft capital for it, uh, and trading back up from 12 to 6 and not having to give up a lot of draft capital, the Arizona Cardinals started off their draft by taking offensive tackle from Ohio State, Paris Johnson Jr. Now, there are rumors about them taking Paris Johnson, I think, at 3. But so being able to not only get, they ended up getting was a first round pick swap with Houston in the first. Did they get their second round pick too?
Um, I think so.
Yeah, so they got their first and second, Houston's first and second. They got Houston's next year first, and I want to say like a third, mate, too, for next year too. They got a hell of a lot of draft capital in return for falling back to 12, and then them trading
Yeah.
back up to 3 or not 3 to 6. I don't think it cost that much because I think it was just probably like a third or something, third or fifth, but it wasn't
Yeah.
didn't cost uh them that much to move up 6 spots, which is kind of crazy.
Especially since they have so much for next year's draft.
I know, and we were talking about it during our mock drafts that Arizona's going to trade out. They have no reason to be staying at 3 when they need so much help everywhere. And with Kyler Murray going to be out for most, if not all, of this next upcoming season, it makes
I
sense
think
for
he'll
them.
be out the. I think he'll be out the entire season.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does. They just say you're not playing the whole year, just rehab and get better. Because next year's draft class is supposed to be really good. And plus, if they
Think
end
about
up
it,
with the
but
first overall pick, they could trade back even. They could get so much more draft capital because people are going to be fiending for Caleb Williams.
they're going to get so much back for that number one pick.
Yeah.
There's
So,
no way they pick there if they get there.
oh, it, especially if that Houston pick ends up being like really good too, they have no reason to be sitting at the top of the draft when they could trade back and get so much draft capital out of that and still get
There's a
players they need.
there's a genuine possibility Cardinals have picks 1 and 2 next year.
They're, according to like the way too early like mock drafts, like based off of Super Bowl odds and stuff, they're projected to have 1 and 2 thanks to Houston and their own pick. So,
Yeah.
do you know how much draft capital that is for Caleb Williams and Drake May? Insanity. they they would be set for like the next 5 years,
Might as well just rename them the Arizona Thunder.
right? But yeah, so they end up trading back up from 12 to 6, the Lions, to select Paris Johnson, who they is probably the guy they wanted all along. So I think great pick. When Kyler ends up coming back, they'll have that anchor. He plays left tackle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have that anchor at the left tackle to protect Kyler, and hopefully he won't be tearing his ACL again. Let's hope.
And the other dub is that it's Kyler Murray's number one pick. He was his number one option for this draft.
Yeah, so it The Arizona rebuild, mini rebuild, let's see how long it takes, is off to a great start because they got their franchise tackle and they got 2 first-round picks next year. And recapping the rest of their draft, in the second round they got B.J. Ojulari, brother
Hmm.
of Aziz Ojulari on the Giants, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think BJ is better though.
Yeah, and getting him in the second, what some people had like as a late first type of player, being able to
One of them.
get more pass rush after since J.J. Watt retired. I can't think of a single like front seven guy on that team right now. Like no one notable. So, so being able to get
Like,
potentially a long term piece on that, at least long term rotation piece on that front seven, great for them. Uh, I'm not really in, well informed on the rest of their picks. Garrett Williams, cornerback from Syracuse. Uh, According to post draft analysis from ESPN, Cardinals are desperate for talent in the secondary, and cornerback is a massive area of need as the team rebuilds. Williams has experience on the outside as a starting corner, and that's where he'll slide in for the Cardinals as soon as he's fully recovered. So he's currently injured right now. So yeah,
I
I
think it
mean,
might even be like a second round talent too.
yeah, it could have been probably kind of small at standing at 5'10", but you can never have too many good corners in the NFL. Same thing
No.
with wide receiver corners. You need like so much depth at that position. And speaking of wide receiver, also in the third round, they ended up taking Michael Wilson, wide receiver from Stanford. So it seems like with their like from third round and on, they're drafting a lot of depth. Just so because they drafted 2 corners, a wide receiver, some offensive and defensive line, a linebacker, and then I'm taking Clayton Tune, quarterback from Houston, in the fifth. Uh, I mean, with Kyler probably going to be out for the year, I think their only other QB was Brissett. I think they signed in the offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, they needed QB depth. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not one to give draft grades because, as we know, draft grades don't mean shit. Uh,
No.
this I always like to bring it up. You send me a video, like basically saying draft grades are pointless. The 2012 Seattle draft class, where they drafted Bruce Irvin, Bobby Wagner, and Russell Wilson, was touted as the worst draft they've like experts have seen, and it got an F. And they drafted 2 Hall of Famers in the first 3 rounds. So
And
draft
Michael
grades don't
Irvin's
mean
not too
anything.
far. Or I said the wrong name. I said Michael Irvin.
That's a receiver for the Cowboys.
But he's not far off from Hall of Famer either. I mean, he played.
I mean, he was never great. Bruce Irvin was always good, never great.
I remember him just being an anchor of that defense.
I mean, yeah, he was like I said, he was good, but he was never like great. He never like truly put together like a insane season, but he was always like consistently getting into the QB and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, I think this draft may not be like flashy and stuff, but what they got for that third round for the third overall pick, I think Arizona did a great job in this draft, drafting need at tackle and edge, and just getting a ton of depth in the later rounds. So, uh, like I said, I'm not gonna grade it, but Arizona did a great job, and the rebuild is so far off on the right foot.
As far as I'm concerned, the draft grades are 32 C's.
Yeah. Let's go with the second team to pick in the NFC West, the Seattle Seahawks, who got this fifth overall pick via Denver. Thanks, Russ. Uh, so there were talks of Seattle potentially trading out from 5. Uh, I honestly didn't really want that. Me personally, I was I unfortunately had to work during the draft, so I didn't get to like see the live stuff of Seattle picking in the first round. But I remember you text me saying, I forgot what you said, but you like saying something about Witherspoon, who then ended up, Seattle took Devon Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois, with the 5th overall pick, who was touted to be 1A, cornerback 1A with Christian Gonzalez. And there was like people had mocked Devon Witherspoon to Detroit at 6. So I I'm not mad at the pick. Obviously, I would have preferred Jalen Carter because defensive tackle is like such a big issue on Seattle right now.
Yeah, I
But
was gonna say Jalen Carter was there, so it was,
it's I like the pick. I think Devon Carter, or not Devon Carter, Devon Witherspoon is gonna be a hell of a cornerback. You got pro comp to like Jalen Ramsey and Jair Alexander, two of the best corners in the league. Well, uh, Jalen Ramsey didn't exactly have a great year last year, but still two of the best corners in the league. And
I still think Jalen Carter would have been so sick on the Seahawks.
dude, I
Oh, he was there.
I know, but I guess the off the field issues must have been that big of a concern for Seattle because they've taken players with like character issues before. The character issues must have been that bad with Seattle, or it must have been like such a red flag for Seattle that they're like, we don't even think we could fix him, type of thing, you know?
I mean, I guess
Yeah, but
kind of a poor excuse these days because there's so many resources around the NFL that are at your disposal.
yeah, but I'm not mad at the pick. What has Pete Carroll been known for since he's been in the head coach of Seattle?
Defense,
Defense. But what specifically on defense?
Legion of Boom.
Legion of Boom. So
He's recreating
the Legion of Boom 2.0 is here. We got Tariq Woolen, the Richard Sherman type, late 5th round. I think they're both 5th round cornerbacks that far exceeded expectations. We got Jamal Adams, the Cam Chancellor type of hard hitting safety. Quandre Diggs, the Earl Thomas type of ball hawking safety to go along with.
Does he have a brother?
Quandre or Earl Thomas?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Quandre. Oof.
Yeah,
Can't be the
no
true
tag
Earl
teaming.
Thomas.
No tag teaming.
Damn.
And they're slotting Devin Witherspoon in to be the second cornerback, which the Legion of Boom never really had. I mean, that second cornerback spot was always like kind of a rotating door because it started with Brandon Browner, and then I think it was Jeremy Lane, and they were always trying to find like that secondary corner to pair along with Richard Sherman.
Browner is a stud.
Until he is like legal issues and stuff.
Yeah, I think he's a garbage human being now.
Yeah, terrible guy, great player, terrible guy. But yeah, they're trying to, and plus with like the addition of Julian Love in the offseason, they're gonna be playing a lot of. They're gonna be playing a lot of like 6 DB sets. They're gonna have 3 safeties, 3 corners because they got Kobe Bryant last year as well. So they're gonna be playing a lot of 6 DB sets, like 3. No, is that dime? Is that a dime look? 6 DBs. Yeah, I think because Nickel's 5. Anyway, a lot of 6 DB sets, and Seattle's banking on their offense being so high powered that they're gonna force you to throw, and they're not gonna have to worry about the run defense. That's what I've gathered from their draft. We're gonna make you pass by running up the score so high with our offense.
Yeah.
And what better way to run up the score on the offense than drafting Jackson Smith and Jigba, pick 20 in the first round. He is the most complementary piece to that offense because Seattle has been in dire need of a wide receiver 3. And with Lockett getting up there in age, he's slated to be the future wide receiver 2 when Lockett ends up retiring or getting cut or whatever ends up happening with him. I imagine Lockett being a lifer, but who knows?
Yeah, he will be.
I imagine he will be, but
Well, I shouldn't say that because we all thought Adam Thielen was going to be a lifer too.
that's true. But that's fair. Uh, but getting the best receiver and the best corner in the first round, day one was a W for Seattle. Absolute W.
Hey, yo, the number one receiver got picked 2 picks later.
No, 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 it's not. You didn't. Uh, but I think Jackson, because I think JSN was always like touted as the best Ohio State receiver from the trio of Olave, Wilson, and himself. People always like, who's the coach at Ohio State? Ryan Day. It's not Ryan Day, is it?
Yeah,
I have no idea who it is, but was that
it's
right?
Ryan Day.
Oh, yeah, he said that JSN was the best receiver from that trio, and with him operating mainly at the slot, which is what he did, I think at Ohio State, right? He was mainly the slot guy. There's going to be
Yeah, because
so many opportunities for him to succeed with Lockett and DK drawing double coverage, work in the middle of the field, lock in that offensive rookie of the year right there.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. In the second round, they got Derek Hall, edge rusher from Auburn. I'm not too familiar with his stuff, but they said he's like a
I
pure
don't watch a
power
whole lot
guy.
of SEC.
They say he's a pure power guy, and he's gonna carve himself out a role as like a rotational pass rusher, which Seattle does need to pair alongside Uchenna Nwosu, who I imagine the edge rushers are gonna be fine. We'll see though. Their second round pick, they drafted UCLA running back Zach Charbonnet. If you're a fantasy dynasty owner and you have Kenneth Walker on your team, you're probably in shambles right now. But
Yeah,
in terms of winning football games, I think this is a fantastic pick. Seattle loves to run the ball, and they've had a very, very, very bad string of luck when it comes to running back injuries. So, and I'm being like legitimate. People know that Seattle has like such bad luck with running back injuries.
say
So
the least.
yeah, so being able to get Kenneth Walker, a person that could ease the load from him, so he doesn't have to be like a 30 carry type of back, week in week out. Great,
That poor man.
yeah. Although I do hope we get another moment like that, where he just. I hope Zach Charbonnet gets a moment like that, where
That lady flipping the double birds will make that picture forever wonderful.
iconic. I love it. They had a third. Seattle had a third round pick, but they traded to Denver for their fourth and another third round for next year. And the later, all day three was just like drafting needs. They drafted in the trenches with their first four day three picks, and then they drafted like depth positions in the fifth, sixth, and seventh round. But overall, I think Seattle had a great first 2 days.
Absolutely.
I think they had a great draft overall. They drafted in the first. I thought they would have drafted need, but they drafted best players. I think, minus Jalen Carter. That whole situation, but that's besides the point.
I mean, if you're gonna pass up on Jalen Carter as the Seahawks, though, you got the guy that you're gonna pass up on him with.
Yeah, like I think
Witherspoon's gonna be a stud.
with the first highlight I saw of him was old boy blowing up. Was it Arkansas?
Hard hitter.
Hard hitter. I love it. I'm all aboard. I saw that play. I'm like, all right, I'm all aboard the Devon Witherspoon hype train. Lock him in as defensive rookie of the year.
Dropping bodies out there.
Bodies. I loved it. So, yeah, Seattle had a great draft. People giving them an A plus on this draft. I get it. No, I'm gonna reiterate one more time.
C.
No draft grades here. Draft grades are
C.
Yeah. Everyone gets a C. Everyone gets a C until we'll reevaluate in 3 years.
Yep. We'll evaluate it off based off fifth year options.
Yep. Uh, let's go with the team that was supposed to draft the next NFC West team that was supposed to draft the LA Rams. And after trading away every single one of their first round picks, they were finally asked. And they would have had the 6th overall pick, but traded to the Lions for Matthew Stafford. But they did get a Super Bowl out of it, so I can't really fault them.
It's hard for me to evaluate their draft because I've never heard of anybody on this squad that they drafted.
Besides Stetson Bennett, I feel you.
Yeah, outside of Stetson Bennett, it's a very
hard draft to evaluate when you barely know anyone. I do like the pick of Travarius Hodges Tomlinson, though. Although he may be like he's a very tiny corner standing at 5'8", he got that dog in him like his uncle, I think, LT. Absolute dog.
Yeah.
I think that's a great value pick in the 6th round.
I'm a firm believer that if you have former NFL player in your family history, you've got a little bit of an advantage.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But let's just quickly go over this draft for the Rams. Like we said, I don't really know many of people on this team that they drafted. But I did know like a big concern for the Rams going in was offensive line because it was atrocious last year. It was god awful.
Steve Avila could be solid.
Hmm?
The Steve Avila kid, from what I'm reading, he's going to be a solid pickup.
Yeah, I mean, TCU made the national championship last year, so.
Big dude, 6'3", 332.
Yeah, and they needed offensive line help desperately. So I'm not surprised they went offensive line with their first pick. Surprised they went Steve Avila though, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people had Osiris Torrance as the top guard in the draft.
Yeah, I guess they probably know better than everybody else.
Yeah, we're just two dudes on the internet talking about football, so we don't know much.
I'm also wearing a Rams jersey. I've never watched a Rams game in my life.
Yeah.
Outside of primetime football.
Yeah, Steve Avila is probably going to get slotted immediately into a starting role next season. So,
I think my biggest problem at just looking at the draft picks by the Rams is they drafted so much defensive line.
I mean, but imagine they're just drafting insurance policies for Aaron Donald.
They gave that about 1, 2.
They drafted 4 defensive linemen.
4, 5.
Is there 5? 1, 2. Are you counting Nick Hampton as a defensive lineman?
I guess. It just says edge, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, they needed help in the trenches, and they clearly addressed that. Drafting like 90% offensive and defensive line. They got some skill positions in there.
And then Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, which I think is probably LA is probably like the best spot for Bennett to go, all things considered.
Yeah.
Gonna be behind Matt Stafford, assuming that he comes back healthy, and he got that winning DNA in him, being a 2-time national champion at Georgia.
Yeah, and he can relate a lot with Matthew Stafford, both
2 Georgia dogs.
Yeah, 2 white dudes that came from Georgia.
Yeah, so I think this is probably the best outcome for Bennett to get drafted to. Is he the future? Probably not. Potentially. Who knows? Though. We'll see in 3 years when we reevaluate this draft class.
If you hang out with a guy like Matthew Stafford for a couple of years, because let's keep in mind, Matthew Stafford's under contract for like 4 or 5 more years.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's going to be on that team for 4 to 5 more years.
No, I know, but even if he's there for just 2 more years and Bennett's just sitting behind him learning for 2 years, you're going to pick up some pretty solid information to help you.
Yeah. Let's go with the 4th and final team in the NFC West. The San Francisco 49ers, who did not pick until the 3rd round, where they had 3 picks. I don't really know what much to say. I believe they were the first team to take a kicker. In
Yeah. Why are we taking the kicker in the first 100?
I mean, they were just in the NFC Championship, so who knows?
I mean, look at who was it? The Buccaneers. They drafted that
Roberto
Aguayo kid
Aguayo.
or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, and he flopped. It, Kicking in college is not the same as kicking in the NFL.
No, we have definitely seen highly drafted kickers crumble in the NFL. But
Blair Walsh,
yeah, hey, but I'm all for the Niners drafting poorly as a Seahawks fan.
Daniel Carlson.
Hey, Daniel Carson's actually nice now.
He's a stud now, but the Vikings ruined him for a year.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be honest. I don't know a single person on this draft board for the Niners. Uh, but
They got a tight end out of Alabama. As a Vikings fan, that leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Remember when the Vikings drafted Irv Smith? He was supposed to be this great pass catcher, and he now struggles to stay on a football field. So,
isn't he in New York now?
yeah, he is.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I have no idea what the hell to expect from this Niners draft. I will say be on the lookout for this D Winters kid because Niners have a tendency to draft great linebackers late in the draft. So
I remember correctly in the college football semifinals, the kid played lights out too. So
yeah, so
he may be one of those guys that plays better in bigger moments.
maybe. And with the Niners, he might get a few of those big moments to happen. But I have
Also,
nothing.
watch out for that. Watch out for that Ronnie Bell pick too in the seventh round.
Wide receiver.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Big Ten football. Being from Minnesota, that kid's got some talent.
All right, you heard it here first. Watch out for D Winters and Ronnie Bell. Besides that, I have nothing else to say for the draft except great kicker pick with the third round.
Hell yeah.
All right, so that's the entire NFC West. We'll be coming back with next episode, which is I believe the NFC North. Yeah. Be sure to check out all our other stuff, all the other NFC draft recaps, and we will see you all next time.
Yes, sir.